Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So what's the latest with Broken Arrow? It's a very good question, is it not? So we have had limited updates from the team. What I can say is we know they are still working on the game, but I suspect plans for a summer beta have been pushed back, as that's certainly not been mentioned. Obviously, the team decided a while ago to focus on the game development rather than spending any time doing regular dev blogs, which in one sense is a shame, but it's also understandable for a small team not to be focusing on that. For a little while, Felix had been doing some unit recognition games on their Discord where they show a shadowy outline, and then you have to guess what unit it actually is, followed by them giving us those real units with some pictures and some information. And I had wondered if we might get a small update following on from that for Gamescom, but that looks unlikely. Now, honestly, it's not uncommon for companies to be quiet while they're developing a game. The team technically announced the project early because originally they had no publisher, etc. So while we are used to them putting out lots of information, the reality is a lot of companies wouldn't. So, for example, if you look at Slipka Ironworks, who've been making Tempest Rising for years, but they've only just announced it, and that's because it had backing and was kept quiet. But obviously, the guys for Broken Arrow didn't really have that, because still Balalaika is obviously an independent studio at the time. And obviously, you know, now they do have a publisher for Broken Arrow in Slytherin, then the news and what they're allowed to release will be a little bit more heavily regulated, I'm sure, to some extent. I'm sure they don't have the freedom they once did. Now, what I will say is the unit recognition game has given us some nice screenshots and other bits of new information about the game, and I think it's worth going through that. So let's have a look at every single one that they've posted. So first up, they showed off the M1128 mobile gun system, a member of the Striker family for the USA. This will be part of the Air Mobile Deck specializations that focuses on light but fast-moving weapons platforms. They had a nice GIF titled the Tokyo Drift, which you can see now. I'll be very amused if they actually manage to do this in the final game. I'm not sure if that's intended or if it was some kind of bug. Now, other than that, we also have this shot showing off various upgrade differences, as we've seen shots like this before for the game. One of the images is an in-game shot showing it in action and firing, and then the final screenshot they titled a diorama of the unit, and they seem to do this for most units. Now, the following week we got a look at the F-14D Super Tomcat, the latest version of the plane that flew from 1991 until 2006. They note it was originally intended to be a pure interceptor, but its role was later extended to include air-to-ground with weapons like the GBU-24 laser-guided bombs. And as you can see in the background, we have again been provided with some nice screenshots. I do really enjoy the aircraft ones where they show off all the different missiles and weapons they can equip next to the actual aircraft. And I'm no expert, I can see a few bombs there. The biggest one closest to the aircraft is certainly a GBU. Can anyone else name all the weapons that are actually there from closest to the aircraft to furthest away? Anyone who's more of a military expert than me, I am just genuinely curious. I also love this shot of the jet in action with the underbelly in view. It's nice to see how many weapons it actually has stacked on there. After the F-14, we got a look at the Kornet-D1 mounted on the BMD chassis rather than the Tiger like the Kornet-D. Now, there will be two versions of this vehicle. One has 8 missiles split between 2 launchers, and the one with 4 missiles, which has more elevated optics, and both versions will be part of the customization options for a single unit within the game. Now, I have to say I love this GIF. Look at it, not just because of the detail on the model, but the fact the missiles actually pop up out of the top of the vehicle like they would in real life. And it looks like this is all modeled and animated in game. And that's not something we necessarily get to see in every game like this. So often weapons are just out and they stay out, whereas here we're actually seeing them pop in and out, and hopefully that actually happens in game, so when they're not fighting they stay inside, and when they are fighting they will pop out like this. I would imagine if they've bothered to animate it, that's how it's going to be. I also really love the shots of this one in action, assuming these aren't doctored. I love how the missiles fire, and also note that where the missiles are fired from, the pods are open and empty. I like that attention to detail. Moving on back over to the USA next for the AAVP-7A1. This is the amphibious armed troop carrier for the US Marine Corps. This has a 12.7mm machine gun with a coaxial Mark 19 grenade launcher. Interestingly, they note in real life that the weapons can't fire at the same time, but they are trying to decide if, for the sake of game and, making it simpler, they're going to allow them to fire together, so they're debating that at the moment. Along with the usual array of images, they provided this lovely GIF of the unit in action in water, and it is really nice to see that amphibious properties are already in the game for these vehicles. And as ever, it's great to see the armor upgrade options with this one as well. Now, I would say that at any point do obviously pause the video to take a closer look at the images. I'm just not wanting to bore you by drilling over each image for 5 minutes, so I'm kind of just skipping through them in the background. Next up, we have a helo that probably needs no introduction, the Kamov Ka-52, a very powerful attack and recon helo. That can be equipped with a variety of weapons. And they provided this awesome GIF to show how the weapons can be customized in-game. Some of you will have seen this in previous videos of the game. Note that obviously the images are still placeholders on the menu, so they all have the little tank. Now, we also got a series of really cool shots of this helo in action, which you can see in the background now. I don't know why, but I really like this one that shows the range of weapons, and also shows it having a couple of anti-air missiles on there. Next up, we have something that really turned my head, and something unexpected but very exciting. The M1299 ERCA, the follow-up to the M109 Paladin. It will actually be in the game as an optional customization for the M109A7 Paladin, and it shoots faster, farther, and with deadly accuracy at a cost, obviously. But the team poses the question, what if you don't want to send all your shells to the same spot? Well, this is where the fire mission interface comes into play. Artillery will have the option to access the fire mission interface, and you can do things, for example, like selecting the type of rounds you want to use, the duration of the barrage, the actual shooting pattern. Options will include point target, line, and creeping barrage. And then you validate it on the map by dragging and clicking to define the area of effect. How incredible is that for artillery customization when firing? Giving you options such as a wall of smoke or a rolling thunder of high explosive rounds. I left that GIF running in the background a few times so you could see the menu in action as well as the arty actually hitting targets. And can I just say, the smoke rounds look amazing. Other than that, we also get the obligatory shot of a unit firing a round. Then finally we get a look at the Su-34, a primarily ground attack aircraft capable of carrying a variety of munitions, but it can also engage in air-to-air combat as well. All of this, as ever, will be customizable in game, so you can make it exactly what you want. Sadly, there are no images of munitions stacked next to the plane this time, but you can observe on the screenshots a variety of weapons on the underside of the jet. And well, that's pretty much it for now. It's been about a month since the last one was posted, so not sure how popular they were, and whether they're going to continue doing them in the future. It's all been on their Discord, so some of you may have already seen it. But that's everything we know at the moment, and there's been no other new info really, and I think the most exciting bit of it all was the artillery firing options. I do live in hope we might get some kind of bigger development update in the next few months. However, on the bright side, we are seeing more and more units, so development is obviously progressing. As ever, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Please do hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe. It all helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I do very much appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.